Peace and welcome to another episode of ARTdustry, where art meets industry. We are your hosts, Rochelle Etienne-Robinson and Stan Substantial Robinson. Season 3 of ARTdustry is powered by Words, Beats, and Life.
Peace.
Hey. Welcome to another episode of ARTdustry. I am Rochelle Etienne-Robinson. And this fella over here, this fine specimen of a man.
Wait a minute now. Okay. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I paid for it.
Right.
It is Stan Substantial Robinson. Oh, what's up?
Chilling. How you feeling?
I'm good. Because today, as every day on ARTdustry, it's special, and we have a special guest. We've known this brother, over 20 years for me. I know even longer for you.
Yeah.
He is a brother by another mother. Please welcome our friend and talented, not only a visual artist, but a performing artist, the none other than Naturel. Peace.
What's going on, y'all? That was a great intro.
Oh man.
Thank you.
Gotta do it right for family, you know?
Man, look.
Definitely. How are you?
Oh, I'm blessed. I'm really blessed.
That's what's up.
That's what's up.
I was tearing up at y'all intro, man. I was like, man, I'm so proud of y'all, man.
Oh man, thank you, bro.
Thank you. We're so honored to have you because I know you know.
Proud of you. You know,
with all that you've accomplished, and we're going to get into it with all that you've done, but you know, seeing you not necessarily having grown up, but seeing you in your journey through adulthood, through now being a father, you know, and all these things that your accomplishments, you know, it's been tough. It's been an interesting year for a lot of creatives these past 2 years with the pandemic and with everything else. How were things for you specifically during these last 2 years?
Oh, crazy. Yeah, me and my queen had a baby over the pandemic. So for all the parents out there that know the joys of having a pandemic baby, it was crazy because like I see the blessing within that too. Like, you know, because I'm valuing the time that I get with her. You know, there's another side to that whole thing too, but it's just being there. Like I remember during the pregnancy, like just kind of thinking like, oh man, like how am I going to be able to travel for work and still be here for the family and stuff, you know? So, you know, through the lockdown kind of answered that, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, cool. I just stay here. Yeah. But through that, like I've had, you know, God bless her. I've had like some of the most successful years of my career over the last few. So, you know,
that's what's up.
Yeah, we've been watching, man. You know, like we definitely love to see it, bro. It's crazy. When she was saying that how she's known you for over 20, I was like, yo, I feel like, I
was like, what? I was like, what?
Yeah. And she was, when she said longer for me, I was like, yeah, it might be almost 30 at this point, man.
Bruh.
Yeah. Like I definitely known your sister for over 30. You know what I mean? So it's, that's crazy.
I remember we first talked when I was
10, right?
Yeah, it had to be 10 or 9 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's a blessing. Hashtag my friends are dope, man.
Hashtag
you know?
friends is dope.
Yeah. So it's gonna be weird, like doing an interview with somebody that I know, like, you know, people that I know for a long time, you know.
Right.
It's just, so it's gonna feel like, you know, we're just kicking it. So
cool. That's the way it should be, man. You know. It's a family affair.
Absolutely.
Clap it up one time for Naturel.
Hey.
You know, man. So let's
we're gonna jump into it because for those that don't know, right? So you are a product of Guamanian parents, born and raised in the DMV, specifically Prince George's County, PG County.
Hey, clap it up for PG.
What was life? You were born in PG, right?
Yep, born and raised. I'm
born and raised.
Well, I'm a Maryland boy, yeah.
All right, Merlin in the house.
So crabs on my jacket, you know what I'm saying?
Gotta represent. So what was life growing up in PG during that time? I mean, you're a product of you're a child of the 80s and 90s. Walk us through that journey, that part of your journey.
For me and my life experience growing up in PG was really interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I didn't quite appreciate how interesting it was until I left. But the things that I learned culturally informed me about human beings and how history plays a part in things. Like in PG County, like history is like taught in every class. You know what I'm saying? Like it's basically if you're fortunate enough to have a black teacher, you have black history throughout every single course. If you're lucky enough, you know.
Yeah.
But it's really prevalent in our schools, and I remember not really knowing about my heritage and my culture until I was like 16.
Wow.
And so like knowing that one, it matters to know where you come from. Two, how that informs like how your community's developed around you and your family thrives within that community. I feel really good that I've gotten those codes, you know, so that, you know, when I was 16, I was very curious, and I was just like, hey, like, how come y'all don't teach me about, you know, the island that y'all came? I was talking to my parents.
Yeah.
How come you didn't really teach me how to do that? And they were just like, you know, first you have to embrace where you're at, you know. They sacrificed a lot to get us here,
Right.
for these opportunities. So, you know, appreciate where you're at, and then if you want to know, there's more behind that. So, you know, it was really my life experience, and my perspective was really interesting being so close to y'all and the folks and friends that you guys been able to introduce me to. Taught me a lot about like knowledge of self and the importance of just embracing culture.
Yeah.
You know. And so you know, as I'm growing, I'm becoming more comfortable with that, you know. But any child of a diaspora is uniquely lost in identity, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like the struggles of, I found it really kindred discovering those feelings of like, oh, okay, you know, I'm part of a diaspora, and I'm from there, but I don't know that place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. And it's interesting how this interview fell on where we acknowledge and appreciate Asian and Pacific Island Heritage Month.
Yeah.
You know, Guam, similar to Puerto Rico, is in this very precarious, you know, commonwealth, not a state, but a property, you know, this whole dynamic of you know, of culture, like you mentioned.
You could say the C word, we a colony.
Right. Yeah.
You know, similar to like so many other
Just like-
places. Yeah.
Man. No, it's really interesting. You know, like I'm reading this book about it's called How to Hide an Empire by Daniel Imawar, and it talks about like the, you know, America just kind of absorbing these properties, these territories, is
Yeah.
what they call them, you know, and it's like kind of like quasi statehood, but not really, like without
Right.
all the perks. So, you know, like that really informs a lot of the culture and the way it grows and the way it is. So, you know,
Yeah.
really interesting, man. Like, and all my people from the Pacific, that's a really, really interesting region, you know, because if it ain't if it ain't the Americans, it's the, you know, the British. If it ain't the British, it's like something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of history there that I could appreciate and I love. It's really similar, you know what I'm saying? But everybody from that belt of the equilateral belt
Yeah.
around the, you know what I'm saying, is all folks. I mean, Haitian descent, you know what I'm saying? It's the
Yeah.
same kind of deal, you know.
Yeah. I mean, going as a segue into that, what would you say was your first introduction into the arts? Was it visual arts first, or was it music?
Oh, it was definitely music. So my father he played bass,
Yeah.
When he wasn't, he was in the military, but instead of a living room, he built out a studio, right? So we had like the keyboards, the drums, the reel to reel, the mics, the amps, like the whole nine. You know what I'm saying? Like, so my living room was a studio, and I would see him come in at night when I was supposed to go to bed, and I would just I would hear him, so I would like just crack the door open and just sit in the doorway, and I'd like fall asleep. Like my parents would find me fall, like sleep in the doorway. But I would watch him for hours, like play bass and play the instruments to these records. So naturally, when he was away at work, I got curious to see to play with the records. So I messed his records all up, man. It was scratching them. I didn't know how to play them, but that's where I discovered. I was like, wow, like I see him finding joy in the music, right? And I was enamored by the packaging of records, and I thought it was all one thing. I thought the people that were playing the music were singing, and they designed the cover too, and they made the package, and it was the whole thing. So that was like my first foray into something that was like, oh, I need to do this. Like whatever this is, I need to do this, And I think I just been like attracted to the visual side of music for a long time, And I remember one of the other ones too was like that was like my first visual thing. I think one of my first the first idea that was planted in my head, like you could be an artist, was I think my sister had gotten Stan to draw like a Wu-Tang poster with all the names of all the Wu-Tang members on there. And she brought it home and she hung it up, and I was like, what is that? She was like, oh, my friend drew it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what is that? Like, because that's not from the store. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is that? Like, she's like, he drew it. And I was like, I want to draw. Like, I want to draw that. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for the Wu-Tang thing. Wu-Tang poster.
I don't even remember, son.
Wu-Tang for the babies.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds like something I would do. Oh, man, listen. Shout out to Wu-Tang.
Yeah. But yeah, that was like one of the first things I was like, man, like you could do this, like you could draw, like you could really draw stuff like this, and it be related to the music part. And I was like, oh man, it's done. It's done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Super dope. Yeah, man. So what would you say, like after being introduced to the arts, like what was the thing that you enjoyed most about it? And then eventually as you started to get into it yourself, what were some of your biggest challenges?
Whoa. That's a big question. What was the first part of that question?
First part is like, what are the things about it that you enjoy the most?
Oh, okay. I love the vision part of it, right? Like, I've only recently gotten how do I say it? I've only recently gotten to appreciate the vision part of it, right? Like, being an artist is one thing, but being a visionary is a whole nother thing. And I'm now stepping into that role in my life as a visionary, and being comfortable to say that, right? Because I see things, right? And that's the most enjoyable part, is putting those things together when it lights up, when the right things stimulate that imagination, and you could see things come together. That's the exciting part. When I have like these ideas, or something might trigger, like something might come in conversation, or I could be anywhere, right? And then I'll just wake up from something and call somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, it'll be like, yo, like we got to make this thing happen, or whatever, So definitely the visionary part of it, but also the people, and I think coming into my own or being able to use it by myself, like, I was 10 years in being a service, like a designer, like a artist for service, artist for hire, doing other people's ideas. And, like 10 years ago, I think it was like 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I decided to do things for myself and, create paintings like the ones that you're showing, was the idea, uh, was to start giving my visions and my ideas, the same power that I would give somebody else's ideas, you know? So,
I feel that.
yeah, I guess the hardest part to answer the other part of that question is believing, right? Like, I think a lot of those 10 years was chasing validation, right? And you could find a lot of creatives these days suffering from, lack of validation. And that's a tough part because you could tell when they're ailing from that, you could tell when they need a pat on the back or they need like, a little bit of juice. And that's hard, because at the end of the day, when you realize it's like, I don't need anybody else's validation. I just need a clear path to my vision.
Yeah.
That's like, that's everything. You know what I'm saying? So at least for me, that was the toughest part to come to is being comfortable in my own creativity,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Real quick note for those of you listening to the podcast. Make sure to check out the video on YouTube. Find us on YouTube as well, at Sub Art and Music, so you can check out some of Naturel's art.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. You see these guys too, man. Looking good out here.
We try to clean up nice for you.
I feel like all of us, we're not hard on the eyes. So, you know what I mean? For those of you only having the audio experience, come on in. You know what I'm saying? Come see all this goodness. But yo, take us back to your first paid freelance job. What lessons did you take from that?
Whoa. First paid freelance job was okay. So my first paid freelance job
Right.
was it was like after a year of interning for 555 Soul, right? It was a 555 Soul, a clothing company in Brooklyn.
Yep.
I was interning for them for free, and it at that time I had an apartment that was right in Bed-Stuy or Clinton Hill, and that wasn't cheap. So
Right.
so I had to pivot and figure out how to either get 2 retail jobs or get another design job or something like that. And so they hired me as a freelancer. I guess that would be work for hire type stuff or whatever. And it was interesting because it was just a paid internship at that point. One of the things that I learned from that was nothing's beneath you. You know what I'm saying? Like to make, like, it's like, okay, cool. I went to school. I have this working knowledge. I've gained all this other stuff. And then you kind of come off on a high, like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to do this practice for a living. But, as soon as you're out there and if you're really, doing it, fetching bagels, you know what I'm saying? Coffee, like dry cleaning, like all sorts of stuff, you know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
if that was that's what you mean, first bit of stuff, but first like paid gig doing my stuff, like design. I learned I didn't know anything about the business.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know anything about like any contractual agreements or agreements in general. I didn't know how to talk about money. I didn't know how to talk about scope or calendar or any of the things that mattered. And I sold myself way too much. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, yeah, I'll do the world for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll draw everything. Like, I'll do all this stuff. And to come, like, one of the things that that really hurt was like not being able to know those steps, especially by being. I mean, I went to art school for 4 years, you know,
Right.
That part.
so yeah, that was the hardest part to be like, wow, like I'm really just out of sorts, like you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, we talk about that so much on this
Absolutely.
show, because it's such a huge disservice. Like you said, you 4 years where their main purpose is to prepare you, right?
yeah,
And you pretty much are thrown to the wolves. And you know, for so many of us, we learn on the job, literally on the job. You know,
Yeah.
from basically from mistakes and mishaps
Yeah.
and just lack of knowledge. So,
Yeah, and some of that stuff you can't really avoid, right?
right.
Because
yeah,
no matter how much school tries to prepare you for what's out there, industries change overnight.
yeah,
And, and keep in mind, some of the people, some of the educators you're working with are still in it. Some are
yeah,
retired, right? And haven't been in it for a minute. So things were a bit different when they were doing it. So there's a lot of things that kind of come into play. But one thing I feel like is beneficial to all types of creatives is to be inquisitive, man. Don't be scared of asking questions
oh yeah,
to any of the people you respect, any of your educators, the people you work with, because a lot of times that information that we don't get in a traditional class setting. Sometimes if the question comes to you and you don't want to ask, you don't feel comfortable asking the teacher in front of everybody, I would always hang back and just chop it up while they're packing up, getting ready to leave, and just asking whatever questions I could, like, hey,
yeah,
I'm thinking about doing this, how should I approach freelance, and what should I be charging for blah blah blah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you for sharing that because
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that's so important. Natural, you have a distinctive style, right? And so, how would you say your art has evolved over the years? And when did you first begin utilizing your signature triangle?
yeah. So crazy, like I mean, I think it's really important because a lot of people see that first, right? Like they see the signature hand at work, like all the triangles, and they're like, oh, okay, that's what he does. Um, but it's really important to kind of uh, understand that there's 10 years before that where I was trying on everybody else's
Yeah.
styles, right? So I would learn indirectly from all my artistic heroes and be like, try them on for size and try them on for size. And then, you talk about freelance, I would be the freelancer to do like, okay, cool. Well, you want that, but I'll be the cheaper version of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's 10 years of doing that, where I, me and some of my other creative folks or whatever, like we would all dream about like, man, like it'd be cool to get called up for one thing and not everything. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, I'm a graphic designer. I could do it all. I could do this. I could do that. And then they come to you, and then you have to study whoever else's thing, and then pin the tail on the donkey. It's like really hard. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's exhausting. So like that's where I was just like, man, it'd be really great to just to be known for one style. And I didn't know where to start. And um I don't think I was trying when it came. Like
Right.
it was really just these explorations, these warm-ups I would call them, that I was doing in between emails, right? Like I was freelancing for doing apparel for like Foot Locker, doing apparel for Urban Outfitters and stuff like that, all private label stuff that you wouldn't really recognize. But in between the emails would be like these 15, 20 minutes of me just trying things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, can I do this in the least amount of moves? Can I do this with the least amount of colors? Can I define my favorite painting in like this or that? And then around the same time was me and our good friend Alan Cole and Darian Burks, like, my gang, my squad. Uh, we were challenging each other online, like on Instagram, and we would do these things called 30-minute workouts. And a 30-minute workout was just basically like, okay, cool. Can you show us something that you did in 30 seconds or 30 minutes, right? And it was all like music. like music related. So we would just kind of bring a track and then maybe put the lyrics up or do some type of graphic thing or whatever that it explains that thing. And that's what started the posting daily of things. And I was like, okay, I'm going to use this style to do that because it's quick.
Right.
And after that, it just got really good, and I didn't stop. Like I dropped the hashtag and I just kept on going. And then from there, it was like, can I do my favorite artist paintings? Can I do portraits? And then all of a sudden, there was celebrities liking it, and I think a lot of it had to do with like my good friend Ilmine. He was the first person to reach out to be like, can you do a cover for me? I'm putting out all the beats that I made for Kanye West, all the scraps or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you put something together? And I was like, yes, sure. So I did what my idea of Cruel Summer and Dark Twisted Fantasy was for that instrumental project. And I think his the project was called Ill Mind Beats for Kanye West. But from there, that's when Swizz got a hold of it and was like, oh, that's dope. So I was like, ooh, Swizz liked it. So that night I did a portrait of Swizz. And then once Swizz saw it, he posted it up, and then Diddy saw it, and Diddy was like, oh, I like that. So he liked it, and then I did a portrait of Diddy, and then he was like, oh, I want to buy that. And so he bought it, and he put it up in his office. Then other people saw it. Rihanna saw it, and you know what I'm saying? And then from there it was the Rihanna Navy. Yeah. The Rihanna Navy down there broke my phone, Right. So shout out
That's
to
what's up.
Yeah.
I love hearing that because that's something we didn't know. And it's from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, this came from out of nowhere. Like he just woke up one day and was like, triangle.
Right.
But that's great. That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. So obviously you've created a lot of different significant works of art and collaborated with like different brands like Bacardi, the NFL, Puma, which we're going to show some of that work in a second, and many others. Like, what has probably been the most memorable brand you've worked with or collaboration you've done?
Man, there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, Puma was great because it was like my it wasn't my first shoe contract, but it was my first signature shoe contract, and they hooked me up with everything. It was like I designed over 20 silhouettes of shoes. You see like bags, hats, like everything they could possibly make for men's, women's, and women and kids. Like I did all that. So and for multiple years. So that was a dream come true. We flew out to Germany and everything and designed stuff from the ground up. And it was a really great experience because they let me be me, right? Like they were like, okay, they locked me in a conference room with all with the team, and then everybody, like all the higher ups, just left.
Wow,
they're just like,
that's crazy.
You do it. You know what I'm saying? And so we were out there for a week, and it was just killing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was great. But that again, that opportunity is on the back of 10 years in the apparel industry,
Right.
and designing for Jay-Z for Rockaware, designing for academics and freelancing and all that stuff.
Right.
So the ability to do all that stuff is on 10 years of really working it.
Right.
I feel like there was another shoe company you worked with as well early on. Was it Procaz or something like? It was something.
Converse was my first. Yeah, Converse was my first shoe, and that was through Villa in Philly at the time. And they put me in contact with Converse, and did a drop there. That was my first shoe. Then from there, I had a brief stint with Asics. and it didn't shake out, but I have the samples, which are crazy. It was a really great concept. I hope I get to put that out. But then it was Puma, and then now I haven't announced it or said anything about it, but now I'm working on some shoes of my own, and
Dope.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to showing people what that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, and being able to design shoes consistently for myself. You know, I think that's important.
That's dope.
But yeah. But so other brands, I would say, I mean, shoot, because it's ain't about Puma. Let's see. I don't know. There's a lot, man. Like I would say, I mean, I've done stuff with Nike. I've done stuff with Nike was the first one, worked with Nike to do the LeBron 11s or the LeBron 11 campaign. Man, it's just so much.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to be able to be in a position where I get to put my name on things.
Yeah.
Because like from being in service, being a creative, from helping other folks out, helping companies out, like you don't get put on the map.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And that's like Naturel on garments, on things as a collab that happened by mistake. Like the LeBron thing wasn't like, Nike was like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna like, what? Nah, it's just, I was a work for hire on that project because the agency that was handling that campaign saw the shoes and then saw my work and was like, they put two and two together, said, you're the best person to carry out these visuals, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So here's some money, carry out the visuals. And so I did. And that was it. I spent a week up in New York at the agency, did the work, and that was a blessing to me because I was working with my design heroes, the guys that I was copying for 10 years. They were all in that room.
Yeah.
And so like it was paid. I was being paid twice. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
Right.
So for me going home, that was it. I was like, all right, cool. This is awesome. You know what I'm saying? I get my first check off of doing some triangle stuff, and I got to work with my heroes. So when I got home, they called me. They were like, yo, don't unpack. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, LeBron just tweeted, like he just Instagrammed your name. He just tagged your name. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, where did they find my name? And like they were like, I don't know. Like I think they put somebody from his camp probably saw the stuff that I was doing with Diddy and all the other celebrities and stuff. So he put two and two together. And he just dropped my name. And so they were like, he wants to meet you. Like, you're on a plane to Miami and blah, blah, all this other stuff. So like it was by mistake, or God don't make mistakes, but you know what I'm saying? It wasn't planned. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
It wasn't in the plans. So my name being involved with that project is everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, we're about to take a break, but when we get back, we're going to actually focus on that, on your name and how that came about. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
Indeed.
My name is Kalia, and I teach the DJ course here at Words, Beats, and Life. Well, I started DJing around 19, 20 years old. It actually helped me with my social skills. I felt like it was way easier for me to make friends. I also was able to learn from different cultures while DJing. I enjoyed teaching people the difference between house music and drum and bass. What I hope people get out of DJing is a sense of confidence. I would say for myself personally, as I started getting out there on my own, I built up a little confidence in myself, and I learned how to have fun a lot more and also project myself without actually saying anything. That's why I'm with Words, Beats, and Life. Enroll in the DJ class today at wblinc.org/academy.
I love that.
All right.
All right.
I might
Welcome back.
sign up. I might sign
Yeah,
up.
man. Shout out to our family, Words, Beats, and Life, man.
Yes,
Doing
indeed.
great work in the community here in the DMV, but also globally as well, representing hip hop culture and hip hop educators worldwide.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Naturel, and I think that's a perfect segue because how did you come up with the name?
Oh, that was my Napster name. It was like, I think, who was my name? It was like my rap name
Yep.
for a while. Man, I forgot the name I had before that. It probably was no good. So
I remember your old rap name.
Don't do that to him.
I ain't gonna do it to him, but I
that.
remember. But what I'll do is I won't go to the OG joint. But I remember before you started spelling Naturel the way you spell it now, it was like it was Natur, and then it was a hyphen and then the L. You know what I mean?
Yes, because it was natural and his real name. It's a play on the name.
Shout out to the interlude you dropped for me, that Naturally Speaking joint. Man.
Yes, that's going way back.
Yeah.
But also for those that don't know, Naturel, the name was fitting because Homeboy used to rock neutral colors.
Oh yeah.
I was
all the
committed.
time.
I was committed.
You were so committed, down to your
Seriously.
Clarks.
Wallaby. Yeah.
Yes.
It was a visceral experience for me. You know what I'm saying? Like that moment in time was just like the guy with the beads and the head wrap and you look like Taboo, like that guy, like
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I love it.
It was
Yes,
a vibe.
no.
I was well wrapped in my vibe.
Right.
Yeah.
Committed. Yeah.
It was definitely a look. I love it. You had mentioned, granted, with your experience having worked with several labels, both freelance and work for hire, what would you say, what would be what's your tools of the trade? We're going to talk shop. Like, what's the software that you're using? What tools are you using?
Yeah, so everything that I do pretty much starts out from Adobe Illustrator, right? Like I'm well versed in that. And the reason why it came from there is because, for 10 years my practice was designing for fashion labels and fashion companies and stuff. And so all that stuff is all in Illustrator.
Yeah.
And when I made the switch over, I went to art high school, went to Pratt, as well. You know what I'm saying? So I'm well versed in how to paint and how to sculpt, how to do all that side, to draw. So when it came time for me to be like, oh, I want to do fine art, I had a decision: either abandon 10 years of what I was learning from before to just jump straight into paint and do whatever, or take it with me. And I was like, I'll just take it with me because it's easier to get to an idea once you're like disciplined and fluent in something. And at the time, it was like, oh, you're a digital artist, but now it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all my stuff comes from Illustrator, and either it gets outputted to paintings, murals, clothes, sculptures, jewelry, you name it. Like everything. I don't. I think like a producer. Like I think like a maker.
Yeah.
And I try everything. So everything becomes a canvas. Everything becomes a thing. Like I think product, because I come from 10 years of product. So my art is expressed in ways or mediums of product,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we have up here, can you talk to us a little bit about this series that you were working on with baseball?
Yeah, so Topps, the baseball, the legendary baseball card makers, for some, I think it was 75 years, maybe 70 years, Project 70. They invited me. This was back in 2020. It was a project before these cards. It was called Project 2020. They took 20 artists to do 20 iconic cards.
Wow.
And it was like me, Ben Baller, a bevy of artists that came from the industry, and then other artists that didn't. And, we all took turns at doing their iconic baseball cards. And then they followed that project up with the Project 70. And Project 70 was a lot bigger. It was like 50 other artists, which turned to be a lot more. Some people fell off, some people got on. It was Snoop was on there, DJ Ski, Ben Baller again. I think it was I think Action Bronson was on there too. It was quite a bit of people, and brilliant artists too. And so like we just got the chance to do baseball cards, and that's proven to be a really, really cool vehicle for me. Like that's something that I was introduced to by my pops, and he was really, really adamant in doing it. He helped me make art like cards too. So when this opportunity came around, I was like, man, like he would have loved for me to do this. You know what I'm saying? So I did it, which is crazy because on its face, right? Like the first, the deal for Project 2020, at least my deal, was 20 cards for X amount, right? But X amount for me wasn't worth 20 cards. That's 20 portraits. That's 20 pieces.
Yeah.
Right. So the math didn't math. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like, this math ain't mathing, man. Like, and I'm in the boardroom, like, cause they have an office at the bottom of Manhattan. It's like right, like the first building from Battery Park.
Yeah.
So I'm there and I'm like, man, like, I'm in with all the cards where they make the cards, and I'm in, and they're telling me like, oh man, like we want you to be part of this project and all this other stuff. And I was like, yo, like my pops will want me to do this. And I saw the numbers and I was like, nah, it's gonna hurt, like it's a lot of work for that little amount of money. But there was a royalty too. Right. And so I was like, you know what? Even if I clear, like even if I try to rush through this and then clear it with my time and really try to just do it, then at least, I get to do it, with the memory of my pops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he would want me to do it, so do it. Right.
Right.
Walk out of there, told my manager, I was like, yo, like, book it, like we'll do it. I didn't know that, pandemic would happen, and then like cards became like one of the biggest vehicles, like assets, like, and it blew up over the pandemic.
Wow.
So that contributed to the last few years being, some of the best years of my business because of that, because of the ecosystem, because of interest, because, the vehicle that is sports cards and stuff like that. So, really interesting.
Yeah,
That's great.
That's dope. That's really
So
dope.
that, I mean, that story, I tell that story because it's like, the creators out there that sometimes you take things off a gut feeling and they work out. Sometimes the best deals on paper don't work out.
Yeah.
They're a nightmare. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Nah, that's real. So, man, listen, besides being an amazing, just talented visual artist, a lot of people don't know that you're a skilled MC. So, man, I'm gonna take you down memory lane. Tell us about the Crown Museum, and maybe some of the work you've done with the homies, the Stuyvesants. And you've mentioned Ill Mind as well. So, tell us about some of that work, and and if you're planning on messing around with any music in the future.
Man, you left yourself out of that whole thing.
I mean,
bruh.
listen, man, this is about you tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Man, like for folks that don't really know, shoot, man. Ever since I heard Stan's with your demo tape, was it?
Yeah.
I was
Oh
like,
my
man,
God.
that's what I want to be.
Oh,
So
man.
I mean, like everything from going to Suitland to like our high school, right? To going to Pratt.
Oh, one second. Shout out to Suitland High School, the great Suitland High School.
Yes, sir.
CBPA program. We see you.
Yeah. And so everything from going to that whole path and graphic design was all informed by that mixtape or that demo.
Wow.
And
Appreciate it.
I'm 10. I knew your nephew, and just basically got in a fight at recess, and
Shout out to G.
yeah, we sitting on the wall, and he's just like, man, what you gonna do with your life, man? And I was like, I don't know, and he was like, man, you should rap. And I was like, I don't know how to rap. He's like, man, just go home and rap, and then I'll call my uncle, and then he'll tell you if you should rap. I was like, all right, so I did it, and I called you, and it was probably garbage, but you were like, hey man, don't stop. Whatever it is, man, that's dope. Just don't stop. And those words was just like, all right, cool. He said don't stop, so I ain't gonna stop. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it really opened up my mind to everything, because that was like I said before, it's validation, right? That was the validation I needed to proceed down a path of craft, right? And being able to do that, like, I mean, if you hear all my early stuff, it sounds like Stan, or it sounds like a version of Stan. And once I started to my circle of friends, like, we kind of banded together to make stuff, and we were making, like, with Algorithm or Alan Cole or Almost, whatever he's called.
Right, man with many names.
Yeah, he and a couple of my other friends, we made music, just under the tutelage of the great Substantial.
Shout out to Definition.
Definition.
Shout out to R&B.
R&B.
Yeah. Fun fact, I still have under organization name, under your contact, whenever you call, it says your name, and then under it says Soul Department.
Soul Department, yeah. So SD is still alive, but it stands for something different now. And with the metaverse, it might stand for somewhere different. I don't know. But yeah, like, I think, from there, that's when Al kind of moved on to the Stuyvesants with Darian Burks. And that was I grew up with him since way back on in my neighborhood. And I went on and moved on, did solo work with Illmind and a few other good producers and stuff like that. And those exercises, that album, Crown Museum. Well, the Crown Museum was the label, the imprint, or the idea. Momentous was the album.
Yes. Yep.
And it was like equally visual, right?
Yeah. Each song had its own work of art.
Yeah.
So like 2012, that was different. You know what I'm saying? Like, these days it's not so. But I was really trying to push and explore. Like, I mean, you mentioned things like the Crown Museum. Crown meaning me. Like, my government name is Lawrence. Lawrence is wearer of the laurel leaves, right? Like, so that's a crown. And museum is just like, the whole idea behind Momentous was like walking through this museum of thoughts. This collection of thoughts and moments. Yeah. And that's why, like, every cover had a frame and had a piece in there, and it was painted, and it was all allegorical, and referencing some of my favorite artists and stuff like that. So I was trying to push at something visual while doing the music too. Right. And it was very ad hoc, right? It was very kind of just like forced and strapped together, like, you know what I'm saying? Like bundled together with duct tape. But it's interesting because now, like, I'm doing work that's equally as musical as it is visual, and it couldn't be farther from music or that form of music. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it all goes back to that moment where I was in my living room messing with my dad's records, right? Like that. It's like the people that do the work, the artwork, are the people that are making the sounds. You know what I'm saying? So it's all together, and I've been chasing that vibe forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm trying to figure out like how to DJ with creating. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out how to turn the cameras on in here to show you how I'm working to music. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I do, you know?
Like, man, we have this project. We'll talk to you about it after the show. But and it's funny, last time we spoke, I was supposed to bring it up with you, but it's not something that's public yet, but we'll let you know what it is, and then hopefully on the show at some point we'll let everybody else know what it is.
Yes.
We're doing the first one at Blurred Con though, but we'll get you hip though.
Yeah. You know, as you continue to reflect on you know, your career and all that you've accomplished, what would you say has been your biggest lesson?
Ooh. Okay. All right. So yeah, biggest lesson is I have one really important. So my success is largely related to, I mean, you know, attributed to God, my queen, y'all, my family. Like, I mean, everybody is the people that raised me is responsible for this. But, you know, like, Instagram was very instrumental to distributing my work and getting found and getting validated and recognized and being able to get checks. That number that's up top or whatever has afforded me checks to do what I do. You know what I'm saying? And I don't take it for granted. I used to. I don't take it for granted. But the lesson is I basically, like, what was it? I thought that success was pinned on like, my success in life was pinned on that. So when they changed the platform, right? They changed the season of the platform from growth to monetization. It choked out my distribution, right? So I wasn't reaching as many eyes as I once did. So my likes went down. My numbers as far as, like, operations go went down too, because I was doing the same one too, you know, post, collect money, post, collect money. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so when they choke out your distribution and you have to pay for ads, or you have to pay for more eyes on your thing, that you know, like, my numbers went down, my feelings went down.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I was like, man, I was on that high. I was like, you know, living for the like, and I really identified with being like, oh, well, I'm an artist. I'm an artist because these numbers tell me I'm an artist. I'm a creative. I'm validated because I get this many likes. I'm validated because they like me, and they fly me around the world to do all these things. These brands want all this other stuff because of that number and because of the likes that I get. So I pinned everything that I had, my whole identity as a creative, on that platform. And when the platform, obviously, like any other business, any other platform, they're going to move into a monetization phase. They're going to subscription based, advertising based, like any of that stuff. There's a gate. And, like, now I have to pay to get, I think they show my work to like 15% of my following. Wow. And then now I have to pay for like 20% or 30% on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Or jump through the hoops to get to the extra. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if y'all wanted to follow me, you follow me, but you might not see everything that I'm putting out unless you actively look for it. Yeah. And that's and that's the way it is. You know what I'm saying? It's free. It's free. And, you know what I'm saying? It's a lesson. But, like, my main lesson was I chose to believe in myself because the app told me that I could. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it took a lot of soul searching to kind of pull myself up from that and be like, you know, I'm bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you guys raised me better than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't leave it up to some other company to tell you you're dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, just move on and do the things that you need to do. And so, you know, like, that's one of my main lessons, is just like, don't fall asleep. Don't sell yourself to fall in love. You know what I'm saying? Like, Dilla. Like,
oh no, that's so good, because it's true. It's, you know, we talk about it a lot, you know, trying to have that balance, because it's like, you use it for business, But at the same time, it's also can be very unhealthy, socially, mentally. And so, for us creatives and for creatives that are out there who utilize that platform,
or
going
any platform.
in, right,
any platform.
or any right, or any platform, knowing your worth before you even hit post.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just like, those are things that happen, but like you have to define success, define how you pay yourself, right? Like even if it's, let's take it out off of platforms, right? Let's take it with projects and stuff. If a project falls on its face, right, but you ahead of time decided that you got paid by just the success, but just by finishing it up, then you're paid, right? Like that, it's a success at that point. So it's just like, it really taught me to reevaluate what I personally define as a success or not. You know what I'm saying? And reevaluate what failure is and stuff like that. And just not care about metrics and numbers like that,
Yeah. No, that was great. That's a good one.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. So we got to get ready to go soon, but we can't leave without you sharing some additional words of wisdom, any advice other than the advice you just gave for like emerging artists, people on the come up, who see someone like you, whether they were familiar beforehand or not, but they see someone like you and aspire to achieve the same type of success, maybe more or less. What would you say to them to encourage them?
Yeah, man. I thought you was gonna make me rap. I was like, yo, like we not doing that today.
Nah, I wouldn't do that to you.
I would say surround yourself with people that inspire you, right? And don't give up. What did Stan tell me all them years back? It was, don't stop.
Don't stop.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's as simple as that. You know what I mean? Like belief comes and validation comes and success comes on the back of don't stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Before we wrap, I know a couple of things. You mentioned, you're working on some things of shoes specifically, but we'll get details on that in the future. What else are you working on currently? I know you're in the NFT space. I know you're doing a couple other things. Yeah, share with us what you've been up to. What are you working on?
Yeah, so real quick, I have my big NFT project coming pretty soon, within a few weeks. It's called Aficionado Crypto Cartel, and it's basically it's everything. Well, I don't want to be a contrarian, but what it is it's a vessel for me to engage with my collectors in a narrative way, right? So it's like fish collecting, and if you imagine just digital pets or like a digital fish that you're able to exchange and put in tanks all around the world.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So my intentions with that is to basically connect with my collectors, right? But also make it so the tech in that word NFT just kind of disappears into the background, so people don't have to, they don't have to be fluent, like try to be fluent in something that they're not fluent in. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have to talk about the tech so much, just talk about how the visual is there. You know what I'm saying? So I got that project coming. I just started doing some work on Network, the app Network, dropping like art cards on the back of or on the from the wave of my work with Tops.
Nice.
Me and those artists kind of really did a good job at this new emerging form factor in card collecting hobby, which is an art card, which is I believe it's going to be interesting moving forward. So I'm expressing myself in that lane. So go to Network and you can follow me. So I think I'll be dropping like every week or every other week. I got some more clothes coming out, but the clothing that I'm making, the clothing that you see on my website, is the clothing you see on me, is all sustainable, organic, with some of the best practices, humane practices in the world, and it's made to order, carbon footprint conscious. Like, I mean, it's just all sorts of things that, you know, I'll get into later or whatever. But if you see clothing coming out for me or whatever, 9 times out of 10, it's for that program. To push the narrative and change the narrative of fast fashion, because fast fashion doesn't have to kill the environment.
Right.
It's just, you know, made to order, you know, like that really helps. And sustainable practices, you know, for the babies.
Yes. That's awesome.
And then I think, I'm dropping like a bunch of stuff. I know, well, on my Instagram, there's a link in the link in bio. We'll hook up everything. allburgundy.com. Yeah, is also a great place to kind of see things. And music wise, well, not. I mean, I'm dropping a new album. Drop a new album after this. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, I'm working with Illmind on his NFT project with Squad of Knights, and being in that community is really engaging. Yeah. And so it's inspiring me to try my hand at something. So it was always my vision to kind of, you know, do things at my pace. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And do things when it speaks to me. So, you know, like I think I'll try it on, you know. Mm-hmm. If I do drop an album, it's going to be called Somebody's Dad.
Okay.
Because I'm somebody's dad.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Shout out to my babies, Janiyah and Mars.
Yep. You know. 2 beautiful girls.
Absolutely. Yeah. Girl dad.
Yep, girl dads.
But yeah, like, I mean, you know, I think I can't even really think about it. I have some other things that I'm doing, but yeah, it's a lot, a whole lot.
Yeah. Proud of you, man.
Yeah, so blessed. Yeah. And if you guys, if you don't know, now you know. Check the link. See, you know, look at the bottom right here. Mm-hmm. Check out his website. Check out his Instagram. You know, if you want to dig in the crates, he don't sleep. He is an MC.
He's dope.
He's dope. He's being very modest right now.
Yeah, luckily, I'm not published. No, I mean, it's crazy, man. That album got. I mean, I got some Grammy Award-winning producers on that.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not a sleeper.
Oh, I know exactly where to find it online. Whenever I need to revisit it, I know where to find it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I throw on that cocaine joint while out.
Yeah. Yes, that is actually on the playlist. We have it on the playlist.
Bro, there's more than a couple folks on there that got quite a few Grammys. So
that's what's up.
I mean,
it's quality, man.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, man, for being on the show, man. We really appreciate you, bro. And
thank you.
You know, and shout out to the people who tuned in live. Shout out to those of you who are listening to the podcast a bit later on. Yeah. Thank you to everybody, man. We hope you definitely got some great gems from our brother Naturel. And stay tuned, man. Who do we have coming up for the next episode?
So for the next episode, we have A1.
Oh, yeah. So our first straight up musical guest for the season. Yeah, shout out to the homie A1.
We always have some multi-talented, hyphenate folks, players. So
man. Shout out to Stephanie Gale, another Suitland alum who popped up right now. She said, talking about Momentous. Yeah. Used to be on digital streaming platforms. It's so great even now.
Yes,
Super
indeed.
Facts. It definitely aged well.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But
what up, Steph?
What's up?
Steph, y'all.
Yeah, man. But thank you so much, brother. And so we're going to get ready to wrap up. You definitely hang behind the scenes so we can catch up a little bit more. Yes, and to everybody watching, man, we appreciate y'all so much. We're going to get ready to take y'all out. Y'all hang tight 1 second. And we'll get this outro music going. Catch you next time. Peace, peace, peace. Thanks for listening to Artistry, where art meets industry. Season 3 of Artistry is sponsored by Words, Beats, and Life. Visit www wblinc.org to learn more. This podcast is produced by Substantial Art and Music. For more information, please visit www.subartandmusic.com. You can also follow us on social media at Sub Art and Music. Peace.